Hello, everyone, and welcome to this info session on the Engineering Design Capstone course. And this is an info session for prospective industry project sponsors who are or are thinking of submitting a capstone project for the School of Engineering capstone course. Um, Before we begin, I would like to first acknowledge that we are recording this session. We are teaching our capstone design course, and our students are all situated on the Seal Okanagan Nation, ancestral, unceded, traditional territory. And as we teach engineering design, it's only appropriate to acknowledge that the practice of design and designing solutions that are supporting human existence have been practiced by people across the world in the context of our host nation, the Seal Nation. The creation of a pit house, a kekuli or winter home, is a great example of marvelous human ingenuity and design, designing a space that is insulated, that allows people to survive the cold winters month. And we encourage our students to learn from that traditional knowledge and practice, and embrace the values of our host nation as they transition throughout their undergraduate program and before they become mature engineers who are going to the world and making it a hospitable and livable planet for us all. Um, my name is Dr. Alon Eisenstein. I'm an associate professor of teaching and technology entrepreneurship and the Marshall Botter Professor for Experiential Learning and Leadership in Engineering. And with me is my capstone co-instructor, Professor Ken Chow.
Welcome. Thank you very much. I'm an associate professor in electrical engineering. I'm also the associate director of innovation at the School of Engineering. And just for those who don't understand or have never heard of Capstone, Capstone is the culminating fourth or fifth year undergraduate experience, project-based experience for our engineering students. And it is an 8-month long course in which students get to explore engineering design with partners like yourself. And so it's a signature event at the School of Engineering. It's a signature course with a signature event, the showcase, and we're going to talk more about it in this session. And the reason why we put together these information sessions is that if you are ever interested in working with groups of engineering students, you know what to expect, right, and how to participate in this course.
So this info session is meant to be an invitation for you to be part of our learning experience that we are designing for our students. We want to make sure that you understand that by submitting a capstone project proposal for the School of Engineering capstone course, you appreciate that students are first and foremost learners. And as learners, they do need your direction and feedback should you become a project sponsor. They are expected to work independently throughout the year, but they still have to have direction. They still have to receive ongoing feedback. And the way we explain students how to think about design is that it is a co-creation process. We want students and yourself to co-design the solution for you as the sponsor of the project. And so it's important that you understand that it's a journey that you take together with your assigned design team. The thing that we always clarify is that this should not be seen as a quote unquote consulting or engineering consulting firm. These students, while being at their final year of the undergrad, are still students. They're still learning. They have a lot to learn more. And so this is an invitation for you to create the condition for them to rise to the occasion and learn more new things that they haven't had the chance to learn until now.
Yeah, and a few things that I observe with capstone teams that have great relationships with industry partners. Usually, the industry partners kind of give enough of the constraints and direction, but then also give students a lot of freedom. They give them space to exercise their skills, to develop their own designs. And what you are as the industry sponsor is, you are a source of feedback for them, right? And so taken to when either of these two vectors are taken to the extreme, that's when capstone teams don't have great experiences. So, for instance, if an industry partner is too prescriptive and almost micromanages the team's interactions, then the team feels stifled and it stops becoming a high quality learning experience. On the other hand, if the industry partner gives way too much freedom and no guidance, capstone teams often feel like they're kind of they have nothing to grab onto, right? So both of those extremes are not ideal. So what we're striving for, what we're looking for, are partners that are able to give the guidance, give some structure, give some constraints, but at the same time give the group enough freedom and space to explore and make mistakes and come up with their own designs.
Now, at the School of Engineering, we have five programs. We have mechanical, electrical, civil, manufacturing, and computer engineering. But it's also really important to remember that the students that are coming to the Capstone project to work with you have skills that extend the specific disciplinary categories. So our students are equipped and are trained in transferable skills like critical thinking, problem solving, teamwork, leadership, and technical communication. At the same time, they do build very specific, robust technical skills that are applicable to things like motor design, project management, energy system design, heat exchange, concrete and circuit design. And these are just a snapshot of some of the things that students learn throughout their undergraduate program.
And I think knowing this, one thing about our capstone program, which is actually unique in maybe Canada, no, definitely Western Canada, unique in Western Canada, is that it is a multidisciplinary engineering capstone course, which means our civil, mechanical, electrical, computer, and manufacturing undergrads, they all come into this course together. And when we build teams, it is very likely, it is almost a certainty that you are going to have engineering students from multiple disciplines on that team. So something to be aware of, and also that should shape the types of problems or types of engineering design challenges you pose to the students. The great thing is that they can work on they can work beyond any disciplinary boundary usually. And usually those are the best types of projects anyways, because it forces these students who some of them haven't seen each other for a few years to not only see each other, interact with each other, but also to collaborate and to speak to each other through their different disciplinary lenses.
And this is a great segue for what types of projects are we looking for? These are the types of projects that we found over the years that make for the best capstone experience for our students. We want projects to be real. We want them to be something that is a real problem for someone like you as an industry sponsor. And that means that you care about it, that you actually and genuinely wants to see this problem be solved. We want the problem to be open-ended. It's really important that these are not overly constrained problems, that there's only one way to solve it. The more open-ended it is, the more design options that students can play with and learn, and decision making on how to design for an open-ended problem is really at the core of the capstone design. At the same time, it's really important that these types of projects are not critical or not mission critical for your organization. Because they are learners, because they're students, they're constrained in time to deliver, and they're still learning how to do certain things. There is a chance that what they deliver at the end does not work as intended, or maybe it works, but it's not suitable for what you need by the time they finish with it. And so we want to make sure that you understand that this is not a product service contract that we are committing to deliver a certain specs, but rather this is a learning experience that allows you to explore things that are not mission critical, but would be nice to get some students' imagination and creativity set to. And finally, because it is a course, because students have to submit their work as assignments to be graded by us as course instructors, by their teaching assistant, their faculty coaches. And at the end of the course, we have our capstone showcase and competition, which is a publicly accessible event. It is important to recognize that we will not be able to accommodate projects that require absolute confidentiality. That being said, if you have confidential material as part of your project, that is okay as long as you understand that everything students generate during the project cannot be bound by confidentiality. They have to be allowed to share it to us and to the public. And therefore, as long as you can manage that confidentiality constraint with us and allowing students to share their creation in the showcase and throughout the year, this is the type of project that, again, would be most suitable for our capstone course.
And I'll just add one final point because I think you covered everything. When we review projects, the key thing we're looking for, there needs to be an element of engineering design, right? And so there needs to be some sort of technical aspect to the problem that requires a group of engineering students to be able to design. And when we say design, what we tell students is that they need to be able to generate new options that address that challenge.
Yeah. So the project proposal form has changed over the years, and we've reached a place where we feel it's a good balance between being open-ended from our perspective, and at the same time gives you the opportunity to give us sufficient input to make a decision whether this is the type of project we want to have in our capstone. So we want you to be mindful that this is not a request for a prescriptive solution, but rather an invitation to solve an open-ended problem. And therefore, the project proposal should be problem-centric. We ask you to explain what the problem that you are hoping that our students can solve for you. We're asking you for any relevant information about the problem itself, about the context, the reality in which the problem exists for you, and what constraints are you trying to solve, or what constraints are per the problem within which students will have to solve? And finally, what are the risks of solving the problem, and what are the risks of not solving the problem? And so the more we understand the reality of the problem from your perspective, the better the students have a way to start preparing for and solving it with you throughout the capstone experience.
Yeah, and in the past we've had folks put information about possible solutions and deliverables and all that stuff. But what we found is that when students see that, they default into just executing on what you want. And again, that's not what we want the students to experience. We want them to co-create the solution, to actually even help define the problem. We want them to experience that with you, so that they can deeply understand why their work is important and not just execute on a solution that somebody else has already conceived of.
So how do we vet projects? So when projects are submitted, we're looking for very specific key elements. As Ken already mentioned, the problem has to intuitively suggest that there is a need for an engineering design solutions. Sometimes we get submission for projects that it's not very clear whether an engineering design solution would be the appropriate pathway, in which case we would probably not consider it high on the priority list. So be thoughtful that an engineering solution is really needed in your particular problem. Does the problem require a diverse specialization team? As Ken suggested, we are one of the only capstone course at the undergrad level across Canada where all our students are interdisciplinary. Sorry, all the teams are interdisciplinary, representing multiple specialization in engineering, and therefore we have to have projects that require a diverse skill set from our student population. And also considering the fact that teams are about 5 to 7 students per team, does it actually require a team as opposed to a single student solution solving this problem? Is it appropriate for a final year undergrad engineering student level? Again, if it's too simple, it's not going to be conducive to learning and challenging them. If it's too hard, then clearly it's beyond their ability to solve it, and therefore it's a bit of a Goldilocks situation. It can't be too easy, it can't be too hard. Is the risk reasonable for UBCO, specifically for students? Again, we do manage risk and might want to make sure that students are not posed with an unreasonable risk by doing this capstone project. And does the project require access and material or instruments that we have available at the School of Engineering and UBCO? If there is a need for specific material or instruments that we don't have and you don't have access to them, then clearly students cannot deliver. And so that's another limiting factor that we want to be mindful of. And then finally, the financial element and the time element. And so we asked the people who submit projects a proposal to commit to a minimum of 5 meetings, which will show in the next slide what's the time scale of Capstone. So there's a minimum of 5 meetings that you are required to attend, ideally more than 5 throughout the year. And we do ask the sponsors to commit to up to $3,000 in project cost reimbursement. So this is not paid up front. This is a reimbursement to cover cost of the projects. The School of Engineering covers up to $500 cost expenditures per team. So this would be on top of, and this will allow students to actually deliver higher quality outcomes with a reasonable financial commitment. The reason we have a bit of an asterisk there is because we want to make sure that this financial expectation is not excluding nonprofits or smaller organizations that for them this will be unreasonable or exclude them for participating. And so, as part of the survey, we will ask you about your nonprofit standing and about consideration of financial commitment. And we will consider these cases on a case-by-case situation about allowing companies and organizations to participate who do not have the ability to meet this requirement.
Perfect. And just to let everybody know, we do get requests to sponsor capstone projects from actually all over Canada. Actually, sometimes sometimes
Yeah, we have
international.
some in the US as well. Yeah.
So we are not restricting based on location. We do love our Okanagan based partners. They provide really close proximity to our school and to the students, and there can be a lot of in-person meetings that are facilitated, which is great. But we are not exclusive to sponsors that are outside of Kelowna or outside of BC or outside of Canada. Yeah, so just want to make sure just want to make sure that's clear.
Yeah. So what does the capstone experience look like? So this again would be what you can expect as part of the experience throughout the year. The course runs from September through April. And so before the term begins, so during the summer, we solicit for projects, we vet them, and then the course starts and the September the week of September following the Labor Day weekend. And then that's when we start by spending time with students about setting up project assignment, team formation. We give them the basics of understanding how Capstone unfolds. We have the first client milestone meeting sometime around October, roughly. And the purpose is to really get the Capstone team meet early with the client to find a way to move the project forward and fast and making sure that there is a clear problem definition that they can work on. So again, we don't ask you to define the problem from an engineering perspective. So that's the job of the engineering team, the Capstone team. And so they need to do that with you, not in isolation. So they need to confirm that they understand the problem well. The second client meeting, milestone meeting, will be usually around November, at which point that's when they start to narrow down the solution landscape. What is the what are current solutions for the problem? Which ones would be more or less appropriate within the design constraints of the problem? And then in term two, that starts in January, early on, the client milestone meeting number 3 to lead to a solution design that is agreeable with you as the client. And then following that, in the fourth meeting, really honing down on making sure that design is performing as intended. And finally, suggesting some potential improvements. So we want them to go through a whole design cycle leading up to a preliminary prototype with some performance evaluation and then slight iteration as much as time allows them throughout the year before they provide you with an outcome and a potential pathway to continue on improving on their deliverable for future years. And then the course ends in early April at the Capstone Showcase and Competition, to which is a publicly open event, and we invite all our industry partners and industry friends and the community at large to attend and celebrate the moment with our students.
Yeah, and just a couple things to add here. Notice that client engagement is built into the Capstone course. So you may have had experiences with other Capstone programs where you assign a problem and the students disappear and then you see them 8 months later. That is the experience we want to get away from. So we have designed this course so that it is very much focused on co-design, co-creation with the client. In fact, when the students meet with you for these milestones, they aren't always making decisions about the project. Their job is to actually generate options for you at every stage, and you, as a client, get to decide which way the project goes, right? So the students are really developing some different skills. They're developing kind of stakeholder management skills. They're learning how to listen to their client. They're learning how to be responsive to client needs and constraints, right? So this has been built into the structure of the course itself. And the final thing I want to add is that the Capstone Showcase, it is not just a signature event for the school. I really believe it's a signature event for the community. We have 400, 500 people who attend. We have leaders, government leaders, industry leaders show up. We have some amazing industry partners who actually judge the showcase as well. And we have families too. We have the students' families come and take pictures. It's really amazing celebratory environment, and I believe it's one of the crown jewel events of this campus and of this community.
Um, One last comment on confidentiality and intellectual property, and going back to what do you own and what do you need to be aware of. So the Capstone Project Confidentiality Agreement is an agreement that is drafted by UBC Legal Department and has been pre-vetted and is what we use to protect the interest of both industry and the community partner, and make sure that UBC as an institution is holding up to the commitment to protect your interest by keeping confidentiality to the things that is expected. And again, as mentioned, that level of confidentiality cannot be overbearing the students' ability to share what they've created as part of Capstone, both during the course in assignments, but also at the showcase itself. So again, it's not a complete binary yes or no. It's a question of a reasonable expectation of confidentiality for you and for the course participation. As far as the IP assignment, it's really important to understand that any student creating anything as part of their coursework by law owns their creation. UBC does not own the creation of students at the undergraduate course level. And therefore, to make sure that you're investing your time and your money in this project, that you own the creation of what you've invested in, we ask students to sign an IP assignment agreement, basically shielding the students from any future liability from you using what they've created for you as part of the Capstone experience, but also recognizing that should you want to then protect that creation somehow as your own intellectual property, students understand that they are expected to assign their IP to you, so then releasing that freedom for you to operate without expecting the students to have any liability from their course experiences. These two agreements are standardized because we have hundreds of capstone projects across UBC every single year, and it would be unreasonable for UBC legal department to do them individually. And therefore, as a basic default expectation, all partners are expected to use one or both of these formats of these forms that are pre-created by UBC Legal. There is a full description on the Innovation UBC website, and we encourage you to understand what it is that you will be signing for, if any or both of these two agreements is relevant for the project you're submitting. In many cases, Most of our projects are not they do not trigger a need for both of them or at least one of them. So it is a case by case, but it is an option for you to protect your confidentiality and or your IP interests. So lastly, we have now created a mailing list for you to put your information in, and that would allow us to then contact you and let you know that the project proposal submission timeline has opened up. And so you can find that mailing list on our Engineering Capstone website, and the URL is what you see in front of you, engineeringokubc.ca, student resources, undergraduate capstone. And so once your name is saved in our system, around mid-May is when we open up the proposal timeline. You will get an email saying you can now submit your application, and we look forward to seeing your application this coming summer. If you have any questions between then or after, you are more than welcome to reach out to Ken or myself by email, and we would be happy to have a conversation. If you're in town, potentially meet with you on campus or off, or a phone call or a Zoom call, whatever works. And we love the fact that our community is interested in doing this with us. We benefit from this, our students benefit from this, and our industry partner from the past have all benefited from Capstone, and we absolutely feel privileged to have the ability to do this work with you.